Good morning and welcome to Tandem Radio. We're excited to be here today with you. I'm your host, Glenn Delakian, along with Peter Grandage. And together we hope to help you walk in integrity as you do business every day. The concept of our show is to interact with those who have questions about commerce and business. Perhaps you're an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, or you're performing at work, a managerial position, or in ministry even. Week to week, we'll be pulling from the Bible and from our own experience to help you get answers that you need. We believe the Christian walk is 24/7 journey, and the old adage of all is fair in love and war is just not what Jesus had in mind when he wrote the Word. Many professionals often feel pressure when trying to follow God's teachings and do business in a secular environment. We hope to encourage you and show you how to do your best and seek God's guidance every day in your professional and personal lives. We'll open the phones today for callers, as we usually do, at 800-575-9564. That's 800-575-9564. And since we're also on the internet, we'll be taking emails as well. And later on in the show, we have a special guest coming up where we'll be taking questions and answering them for you. So again, it's 800-575-9564. Good morning, Peter. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Oh, good morning, Glenn. Glad to be back here. Fairly simple. I divide my time between writing a financial blog and then also running a Christian-based company called Trinity Financial Sports and Entertainment Management. And then the rest of my time is split between sports ministry. I have the great honor to work with George McGovern, who you'll hear during one of our commercials, who is the chaplain for the New York Giants and New York Yankees. And since I was a Met and Jet fan, I saw God working in my life right with that, teaching to be humble and to understand that you can go into the enemy camp. Like I said, keeping busy. Really looking forward to our show today in particular because I think it's a very, very important topic for people trying to be in business and in business.
Great, and you didn't mention golf in there at all. I'm very surprised, Peter.
Well, now with this gimpy leg of mine, golf is done for 2010, but hopefully in 2011 I'll be back out there on the course.
Okay, and for those of you who are tuning in on the internet, you can watch this on our webcam and see Peter's boot that he's wearing, but we'll talk more about that later.
People ask me what happened. I tell them that I didn't pay my bookie, but...
There you go. Oh, this is Christian radio, Peter.
Okay.
Each week we'll start with a scriptural basis, and we have several scriptures today that relate to the topic that we're going to be speaking about, which is network groups and advisors. And we have a special expert in today who I'm excited to introduce in a second. But the scripture basis that we're working from today is, number one, Proverbs 11:26. People curse the man who hoards grain, but blessings crown him who is willing to sell. A little stumble there. Who is willing to sell. I got excited about that, Peter, when I saw that in the Word, because so many people, when they hear the word sales or sell, they look so down on it. And here it is, the Bible clearly saying, but blessing crowns him who is willing to sell. Proverbs 15:22 also says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. And we're going to talk about having many advisors. And the third scripture from the New Testament is Galatians 2:9. James, Peter, and John, those reputed to be pillars, these are the original apostles, gave me and Barnabas, this is Paul writing this, gave me and Barnabas the right hand of fellowship when they recognized the grace given to me. Now, I think that just so well ties into networking with other people and how we're made to walk on this path together. And I think it really ties in well to this show because the key is that you can't do it alone. And if you go to the Word and have Christ on your side, you can accomplish just about anything. Peter, what's your read on networking?
Well, networking has really come into its own, I would say, in the last 10 or 15 years. When I started back in 1984 in the brokerage business, of course, anything in sales, you were told, get out to local community organizations, join the chamber, that type of stuff. And that was more of a one-on-one type of, meeting people and, so-called getting involved in the community was supposed to help you in your business. But in recent years, I've seen a great buildup of different organizations where people are not only there to network, but to actually learn about networking and learn about marketing from each other and the skills. And it's known for that. That's clearly what it's about. You go there and so forth and so on. Because I didn't have any educational background and I entered a business where everybody had big educational background. At first, it was a handicap because I didn't have that experience, but the very fact that I was someone like that actually generated some marketing interest. But by and large, I now see that it is very common, or it's certainly being used and it must be working, to see groups getting together for the express purpose of networking,
right.
Where when you were in the chamber, the thought was you're supposed to be helping the community, but realistically everybody was there hopefully to meet others and do business and so forth.
Right. Well, I agree. I think networking has really come into its own, and there's a lot of good networking groups out there, and if you find the right ones, they can really be helpful. It's interesting because our guest today I met through a networking group, and because of this radio show, actually, the way it got started was I actually met Brian Recton, the general manager of the Bridge here, through a networking group, through a Bridge networking group. They actually have several groups. I don't know if listeners know that, but Bridge has groups where their sponsors actually get together and we network together. And network groups, I think, are important for two reasons, and sometimes people miss this. One is to meet other people, obviously, for potential sales. You can give your cards out, you can get cards back, you can get contacts, referrals, that type of thing. But also the other side that I think a lot of people miss is the educational value of how you can share experiences and learn from each other and find out about different media, different perspective, maybe even find out about a client. Maybe you're going to sign a large contract. Some of my business, we sign very large contracts with clients, and maybe you could bounce their name around and find out if they're a viable client or not, and so forth. So networking has so much value. And I was at a network group that John Callai and Brian Recton started a couple of years ago called the Fourth Thursday. They meet every month, and it's
on the fourth Thursday.
On the fourth Thursday,
oh, that's good.
It's such a coincidence how that came up, but it worked out really well. And what's interesting is that network group, and I don't mean to boast about that network group, but an interesting thing happened to me. First time ever, the first day I went to that network group, John Callai actually gave me a contact lead that first day I went, and I actually made a sale within a couple of weeks after that. And my sales are pretty large numbers, so it's unusual for me to have a quick sale like that. But I met our guest today, Ken Varga, not only through that network group, but I've seen Ken around. He really knows how to work network groups. And why I'm excited to have him here today is because the last time I was at the Fourth Thursday, Ken was the keynote speaker, and he addressed the group, and he talked specifically about networking. So I want to real quick ask Ken Varga to, he's here in the studio with us live. I'm excited about that, and ask him to take a minute just to tell us about himself, his background, and then we're going to get into the topic of network groups and advisors.
Thank you, Glenn. For everybody that's listening, I'm 69 years old and I still don't know what I want to be.
God bless
That's
you.
so exciting. That's so exciting. But in my career, I created over 35 companies in a 40-year period of time, and a little over 6 million customers. And I've authored a few books, two of them that I've published.
Wow.
How to get customers to call, buy, and beg for more, and how to capture the mind of your customer and get them to say yes. And to be honest, I have about 15 books that are in manuscript format. I don't know if I'll ever publish.
Okay.
That old saying, been there, seen it, done it.
Right.
The most important thing in my life right now is my grandchildren.
Oh, there you go.
And making sure that I'm there always for when they have events. But the whole thing is that in the future, my whole life right now and goal at this stage of my life is to help others by sharing how I did it. And that's important. In fact, on the Tandem Radio website, there's going to be a link.
That's right.
I want to offer this free gift. It's 121 tips, techniques, and ideas to explode your marketing campaign results. And it's a template that the listeners could use to get the highest return on their investment with their marketing campaigns. And it'll help remind them of the things that probably they've long forgotten and encourage them to include things.
Wow, that's great, Ken. So this is like a free ebook, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, as Ken said, you could go to tandemradio.com after today, and there'll be a link on there to get this free ebook, 121 tips and techniques.